Okay, here we go.
Right, there we go. We are live, baby.
All right.
All right, y'all can hold 1.2 seconds so we can get our watch parties going.
Watch party on and pop. All right. I can eat. All right. Is that me?
Okay, do you guys are good? You guys got your parties up?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Doing it now.
Right? Gotta get the other one on my phone.
Come on, Candace. All right.
Right? She fly, right?
Come on, Mother Nature. Love land. Get Black Beauty. Shoot.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Shawnee. How you doing? Shantae, Parents Against Bullying. How you doing? Yes, honey. Get into this wig. Get into it, honey. Get into that color hair. Get into that wap. Come on. Bap. Boom.
I need you on the beginning of one of my commercials. I do. Like we need
Done.
to do a whole thing.
Done.
I'm gonna send you a video, and you know how to do voiceovers.
Mm-hmm. I got you. Oh.
There we go. All right. Watch party on 1. It's crazy when I have to have all of these devices in front of me.
Right.
To make sure I catch everybody's comments and stuff, you know?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But we love the comments, so you know.
We love the comments.
Hey,
especially
Shane.
today.
Hey, Shane. What's up, boo? What's up, Ramondo? What's up, Joanna Rios? Shane said, Keela, I love your hair.
Thank you, Shane.
What's up, Long? I see you, my brother. Thank you for joining in. I always love when my brothers join in, definitely.
Everyone make sure their volume's down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear something. I was about to say the same thing.
That. What's up, Miss Levator? Miss Levator's up here. What's up, hon? What's up, Zanita and Jen? All right, now I can get back to the other screen. Watch party comments, live video comments. All right.
Okay,
Hey, Malik. What's up, Malik?
Look, hey, Malik. I'm going to tell everybody I'm going to do a lot of eating on this show because I didn't get a chance to eat and I'm hungry. So you're going to be seeing all kinds of food products today.
Snacks on top of snacks.
Snacks on snacks on snacks.
Mm-mm.
All right, so y'all ready now?
I'm so ready.
Are you so ready? All right, so hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of What You Got To Say. I'm your girl, Dizzy, your host for today, and I got my crazy co-host with me. Hey, what's up, Miss Cool Candace?
Hey. It's time to chop it up, y'all.
What's up, my man, Mr. Cabana Black?
Hey, I'm that dude.
Hey, Mr. Tyrone Gregory, how you doing?
Hey, y'all already know. Let's get it.
And last but not least, with this flyness on her head,
Come on
a
here.
mahogany exclusive, the
Come
wop wig. What?
Cotton candy.
What's up, Miss Keela Mahogany?
What's up, y'all?
All right, so subject of the day. Okay, so subject of the day, we are going to be, this subject was presented to us by Mr. Cabana Black last week. Yes, and so the subject is colorism versus racism. Which one is worse? So we want to talk today about if you've ever experienced colorism. We've already kind of had the racism conversation. So I think it's almost a blanket statement that in some shape, form, or fashion, we've all sort of experienced some form of racism. But colorism is something that we have not really discussed. And so overall, just in case you don't know what that is, colorism is a practice of discrimination by those with lighter skin being treated more favorably than those with darker skin. This practice is a product of racism in the United States, and it upholds white standards of beauty and benefits white people in the institutions of oppression. So, first question going around the room is, have you personally experienced colorism throughout your lifetime? Anybody can go.
Well, I guess because I brought it up, I started off first. I definitely have experienced colorism basically throughout my whole life. And it's weird because you experience it one way from what I'll say for now, the white brothers and sisters, and you experience it another way from my sisters and brothers, you know what I mean? And I definitely have always been confused on why that happens. But then as I've got more intelligent, lived a life, you know, the influence of America is powerful. And they make lighter skin, blonde hair, colored eyes. I mean, I've been through a lot of things where I wear contacts, I've done certain things and didn't think I was doing it because I wanted to fit in, but I realized I was doing it because I wanted to fit in, because I felt the pressure of I'm probably not enough because I'm too dark. You know what I'm saying? And that thing was circling my head. And then after a while, I just started thinking to myself, you know, there were certain things that I saw in colorism versus racism. And I was like, which one is really worse? Because sometimes it looks like colorism can be even more damaging from a community perspective, where we can do more as if we get over how we look at things. And I'm gonna be honest, from a celebrity point of view, because anybody that knows me, but I saw it a lot actually with Beyonce. I thought to myself, are y'all hating her because she's, I guess, doing a lot? You know, because sometimes people think people doing too much, or is it because she has the ideal colored eyes and the blonde hair and all these kind of things? And if she was darker skinned, what would happen? So after a while, I started just looking at actors. You know, Morris Chestnut, very talented, but then he doesn't get the roles as someone else that's lighter skinned. So I was just thinking to myself, so that's my first experience from childhood on, that my dark skin is not enough.
Okay. So we have somebody actually that's responded. So Miss Zanita, just FYI to all y'all out there that are watching and listening and so on, please put your comments in either in the live video comments or the watch party comments, because we are watching. We will address and even say your input on the screen, and we'll give you a chance to respond even. So it's dialogue. It's not just sitting and listening to us. We definitely want to hear what you have to say. What you got to say. What you got to say. So Ms. Zanita says, I feel like colorism is a subcategory of racism. I think it's hard to call it worse, but what makes it feel much worse is the fact that the ideals that's my fault. The fact that the ideas were able to penetrate the mind of the people it's already against, to be the same way towards others. I don't know if that reads well, or if that's the way I meant it. I know that was my fault. That wasn't your fault. So basically, it hurts more because others were able to basically get into our minds and figure out a way to post us against each other within the same race. But she says she has experienced it. And my boy Malik says, yeah, man, it's kind of like you can't win.
Wow.
So, I agree. Who else?
Well, I can remember. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I can remember when I was a child growing up, and it didn't set in, and I didn't really realize that that's what was happening. But I can remember, you know, older people in my family and in the church, the Southern Baptist Church, everybody's playing outside, having fun. You know how kids do during the summer, and they tell you like, don't stay out there too long, you're gonna get black. Or not, gonna get too dark. And I'm like, okay, whatever, we just out here playing, having fun. It never resonated with me, and it didn't set in until, I got a little older, and I started experiencing racism in school, where some of the white kids that I was trying to play with were being cruel to me just because I was darker. And then, one girl, I mentioned the story before, she dug her fingernails in my arm and kind of scratched up and was like, why are you so dirty?
Wow.
What you mean, why am I so dirty? Bitch, I took a bath this morning. What the hell are you talking about? I'm clean. My parents got more money than you. I'm not clean. Don't do me. Like,
right.
And things like that just kind of sort of kept going on from there. And, that was me just trying to find my way in and trying to develop a friendship with people who did not look like me, because there weren't a lot of Black kids in my class. And the ones who were there, they were bussed in from the projects. And so we lived what was considered the suburbs. And so everyone I grew up around didn't look like me. And so with me trying to develop friendships and, conversations and just trying to engage with people who, didn't look like me, it was hard because, I didn't have the straight, long, pretty hair. Like my mom would press my hair on Sundays, get ready for church, or she would pull my hair back into ponytails and stuff. And they were like, well, why is your hair so stiff? Well, why does it look like that? I'm like, oh, well, my mom put some grease on my scalp. Well, why does it look like that? Why does it smell like that? You look funny. All this type of stuff. I'm like, it didn't, like I said, it didn't resonate with me at the time. I was a child. I didn't understand, what was going on. And then when I became older, I'm like, oh, light bulb, that's what was happening. Like, and things like that, I do my best not to, what's the word I'm looking for? Not to keep that same persona going, and make sure that, whenever I'm speaking to people, I'm not playing with your, emotions and, oh, you too dark or you too light and stuff like that, because, although you don't know where someone is mentally, you could be saying it as a joke, but you don't know where they are mentally if that's something that they've already been struggling with, with themselves. And
right.
So that's just something that I had to deal with when I was a lot younger.
Okay. All right. So I need to say what's up to Samantha Phillips, Lorenzo, Dwight, Tiffany, Michael, Derek, Robert, Star, Heather, Delano, Jesus, Dan, James Morrell. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, we are talking about colorism versus racism. And right now we're going around trying to figure out who has and has not experienced this in their life. Mr. Malik says, many have attempted to hold us back in cases like simple as making the honor roll, as if that's a bad thing, with statements like, that's white people shit. We can be our own worst enemy by denouncing our own people's progress.
Wow.
Shane says, as a white dude, obviously I have little personal input, but overseas, I did notice that fair-skinned or light-skinned people of color were almost always treated kinder than the Westies, meaning people from West Africa. In Italy, especially if you were dark-skinned, it seemed that you were harassed way more.
Wow.
All right, Miss Keela, what's your story? What you got?
Well, I feel like colorism, it was done on purpose to Black people. It's just done on purpose that way. And so because we are susceptible to it now, you have to be like, come to an enlightenment point in your life to where you're like, okay, I am enough. What I look like can't change, just giving yourself the humanity. And so I think before then, we are susceptible to colorism as it pertains on TV, in the media, in magazines and stuff like that.
Right.
And so we have to understand that it was done to us on purpose. We didn't get this way by accident. We didn't, make jokes about team light skin, team dark skin, You know, we didn't get that way by accident, but we can change it. We can just stop doing that.
Right.
We can recognize that all shades, you know, are beautiful. You know, Black comes in all shades. I just first wanted to say that it was definitely done on purpose, but we are, you know, now we know better. Um, for me, in my experience with colorism, I grew up in California, so I think I had the privilege to not really have to have race confronted to me in my face. I think it was more covert, but when I was in high school, it was more of a joking thing. I had all mostly white friends, and the mixed people actually, I think I got the most criticism from them because we're all in this group. I'm the only Black person, and then I'm brown skinned, and you're going to, you know, kind of make it a point to say that, like, one example is this guy made a joke talking about I look like a struck match. You know what I'm saying? And it was in front of like all these white people, and I was like, that has stuck with me. That happened when I was like 15. You know what I mean? And I was like, wow, just you want to make a joke about something that I can't even change. You know what I mean? This is just me. What are you even talking about? And in front of all of the white people, that's what really made me upset. And then when I got to the South, I was really confronted with race and then color and how that you know, how that's perpetuated within the Black community because they self-segregate down there. I feel like in some instances in the college that I went to, they self-segregated. And so then within the you know, the Black student body, you have light-skinned people, you know, doing one thing, dark-skinned people doing one thing. And it was like, but we're all the same. Coming from California, I just didn't get it. But I saw that, you know, it comes from the top. You know what I mean? If the TV is showing you that dark skin isn't good, most likely your society is gonna feel like dark skin isn't good. And then it's just, you're gonna tell that to your kids, their kids are gonna tell it to their kids. And so I'm hoping that now, since there's been like with social media, I think that Black people are like just loving their skin, loving the skin that they're in, and then teaching the babies. When I see the babies on there being like, no, I'm beautiful, I'm this, giving themselves some positive affirmations in the mirror, I know that the future is going to be much better for Black people of all shades.
Correct. So we got a check in from Marcus Dupree and Keon Johnson. So Malik actually was. Oh, and hey, what's up, Judy? Hey, mama. So Malik says, you know, it's kind of like nails in a fence. This is tequila. It's kind of like nails in a fence. You can remove the nails, but the holes pane still exists. Your response to that issue. So I'm gonna get to Tyrone Gregory. I will. So I'm gonna let Greg go, and then I have a really good question from Miss Saria. So, Mr. Tyrone Gregory, have you ever experienced colorism?
Well, I'll tell you, the funny thing is, until last week when we discussed that we were going to talk about this, and I had to ask y'all because I was really ignorant to the fact of colorism itself. You know, and thank my brothers and sisters for educating me on what colorism really was, and then I did my research. And the funny thing is, me and like my cousins, we did that to ourselves jokingly, not even knowing what it was. Dark skinned ones and the light skinned ones would claim each other as brothers and sisters, not knowing that we were actually doing, you know, creating that colorism with it. But we didn't mean anything by it. But it was still perpetuating, you know what I'm saying, what I guess you want to say society or, you know, the whole definition of colorism was trying to do to us as a people. But I mean, like, it's funny because it's a lot of people that still do that, not knowing, you know, and unless you educate yourself or around positive people that can educate you on these kind of subjects, man, it's crazy. It's like we get dumbed down by so many things through the television, through music, through our entertainment period half the time, because half of our entertainers are probably, I mean, hell, I'm an entertainer, and I didn't even understand about colorism like that.
Right.
Right. And we're getting dumbed down by this kind of stuff. So, I mean, for me, that's my experience with it. Like, that I can sit and say I've really experienced it. I've done it to myself with my own family members.
Right. So Saria had a question, and she said, "Is constantly getting asked, what are you mixed with? Colorism, like your blackness is in question."
I'm mixed with black and more black. That's what I'm mixed with.
I'm black, I'm bliggity black, black.
I think
Oh my
I think
God.
that comes from people actually. Yeah, I truly do believe it is mixed with colorism. I do think that you can have sincerity in it too, but most times, say for instance, even with Candace or Keela or yourself, sometimes people look at the chinkiness of someone's eyes and that they're black, and because that is an exotic beauty always gets questioned with, what are you mixed with? You know, because it's in their heads, it's not, oh, it can't be just black because look how her eye shape. Or I've seen beautiful dark skinned girls that have just naturally long hair, and they ask, well, do you have Indian in your family?
Yeah.
Because that assumption is, once again, that black is not enough. And you know, first of all, shout out to my Fuzzman family. Have Dwayne and the kids on.
What's up?
So the Fuzzman family, and Tyrone Gregory and Henderson Vaughn of ODU. Shout out to you too. So one of the biggest things that happened for me, and I wish that we do have it, but you'll know what I mean when I say this. I wish that this generation had their own type of Spike Lee. When we had School Days was the biggest moment for me because that's when I got to see the power of how I can damage us. It was really amazing to see. At first, when you're going in, of course, you're thinking you're excited, fraternity, you think it's gonna be entertaining, but as you're watching it, this whole movie is about us. And so you start to really see how things, like Keela said, is inserted and how we do separate. And I love how he had the wannabes and stuff. It was really interesting. And I think our generation, our newer generation, needs that kind of visual. You know, I'm not really into reboots, but something like that would be a good reboot for me because I feel like a lot of our young people in the Black community, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I've noticed this too, either they are shipped off to the military or they go to college.
Who?
Us, meaning
Okay,
like community. I've noticed that they're either shipped off to the military or they're going to a college or they're going to a sport. And at first I was like, why is that bothering me? Because then I lived in Long Beach, California, Los Alamitos, California. Come on, 141 Wop Street. Whoops. And California though was that was my experience of what Keela experienced. I didn't experience it then. I had so many different friends that were Black, white, Asian. It was very different. I was almost in culture shock when I went, and I started to see all their opportunities when they were saying doctors and gymnastics and entomologists, and all these titles were coming and going. And I was like, we're always talking about a certain, like, well, I'm going off to the military now, will give me some money, that raise some stuff, or I'm going to go to college and I'm going to do this, but it's in you know, it was always like I felt like there was a ceiling. And I think that's another thing that kind of, I feel like racism influences the colorism that influences us. Because my main thing about this show is not saying like putting blame, but like Keela said, and I think that was really good, we're at a point that we can change it.
Yes.
Right.
But
so I got as Zanita actually responded to us and said, within colorism, it's been set up that other brown people find higher status with parts of their appearance. They are taught that the darker you are, the less likely you are to be able to possess those appearances and achieve those statuses, which plays into social status and class divides within our society, etc. Them being able to find better treatment in that category is what I feel fuels the choice to live in that behavior. Long hair, less coarse hair textures, lighter eyes, freckles, melanin in your gums. Oh, yes, girl, melanin, I got it. I do.
Yeah.
Gums, darker eyebrows. No, excuse me, not eyebrows. What is wrong with me? Darker elbows elbows, knees, knuckles, lips, shape, all things that people get categorized by to separate them by the content of their melanin. She's saying it was all part of society's plan.
Yes.
Anita also says, get the babies to employ the plan, then it becomes so normal by the time they are adults. The system has the victims doing the job for them against themselves. Yes, this generation needs a remake of School Days. Definitely.
Amen.
But look,
And I have a homeboy. My homeboy in Cali says, Hatchway Street, Compton, California.
But you know, I want to say this real quick.
Let me say what's up.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, Mike Vortex, Shell Bell, Ladarius, what's going on, D? Biggie Smalls, what's up?
Twin. What? From the death. Good
God. What?
We have made it.
Della, how you doing? Hey, God bless to you and your family, Della. Our condolences.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely that. I'm sorry, I never get anybody in my watch party, so now that I got
you were excited.
Come on, get excited. Come on, you come on now.
They coming through.
Word.
I just want to say shout out to Soulful Glow, which is Glow Shine. I think this is a perfect moment for her to come in. Ooh. Glow Shine is the female, the woman, my mahogany, I call her, in the video Color Fade, which is the most appropriate time because that's why Color Fade was made. Definitely Glow Shine if you want to share, because I feel like with her, I know she's experienced the difference between racism and colorism, and she has what I call a statuesque beauty, beautiful hair, all this kind of stuff, but she's a brown-skinned sister. And I wanted her to be a part of that video because I wanted brown-skinned girls to see, but I do want to make this point that just as much as the brown skin has a negative, there is a truly real dangerous negative for our light-skinned brothers and sisters, because then they are almost ostracized from our community as well, and they're held at an even, almost to me, like almost like they have to separate themselves. And this is where I think me and Keela are gonna really come along together, because I thought about, and excuse me when I say this because I don't like saying this word, y'all, but the difference in the house
and field
and the field, you know, I feel like that's where I see this pre-planned, meditated, like if we can get them fighting, then they're going to, why wake up earlier to stop them, because they're probably stopping themselves. So that's why I wanted this conversation, because I felt like the more we get educated in what it is, I think that we'll start looking at people in our community that are being progressive kings and queens, and not getting in the way, but pushing them to go, you know, more in the way of stopping the negative. You know what I mean?
Right. Hey, what's up, Lex? What's up, Melissa? What's up, Chris? What's up, Derek and Anthony Delano, TJ, T Law, Larry Law? Good Lord. What's up, Marcus? What's up, Shirley, Elise, and Della? Again, we are talking about colorism versus racism. We just kind of did the round table as to who has and has not ever experienced colorism in their life. So, and we're taking comments from all of you guys that are watching. So please feel free to type in your comments or your input or what have you, because we will say something. We'll say your comment on air and even respond to it and allow others to do the same. I will say, go ahead.
No, I'm saying I definitely feel that racism has definitely fueled colorism.
Right.
And I think that's what's embedded in it. And because racism was running rampant for so long, they caused a divide amongst us. And unbeknownst to us, because the ones who were brought here, you know, were coming from so many different countries, and everyone has so many different languages that no one could really communicate with each other. So at this point, you know, you got folks that are in the house, and then you got people that are working in the field. Well, just based off of that, it makes it look like you're better than us, or you're better than those who are working in the field, because you get to stay in your house, and because you get to work around master, and because you get to help with the children and things like that. Not to mention, Massa is coming out and laying with these black women in, you know, that are in the field and making these looking babies. And he's still treating like everyone else. So you know, at that point, that's where I kind of think that's where the whole team light skin, team dark skin kind of stemmed from, because you've got everyone that was outside in the field and they're working hard and in the sun, you know, sun up, sun down, and with no pay except to live out with the animals. You got people who were working inside. And so, you know, there wasn't really AC, but, you know, you could sneak a little bit of lemonade here and there, but you were working inside. Whereas it was outside.
A little bit of lemonade.
A little bit of lemonade.
I'm just saying. But then, you know, it moved forward, and then you were talking about folks who were able to actually go to college. And so now you have all these historically black Greek letter organizations. And
yes.
I'm not going to put their names out, but, you know,
we know who they are.
Okay. You have one in particular that, you know, was known to have the paper bag test. So if you were darker than the paper bag, you were not going to be invited in, because we have a standard to uphold. It's team light skin or no skin at all, basically.
Yeah.
So, and that kind of fueled more of the division. So now you have some other Greek letter organizations, and they are, you know, welcoming everybody, whether you're light skin or dark skin or whatever else, and brown or in between. And it caused a wedge between those two organizations, or however many it is, because, you know, everyone's looking at it as, oh, well, I'm better than you because I'm lighter than you.
Right.
Well, you're not as smart as me because you're not light like me. And those things have kind of kept it going. Right. And so to this day, you know, now we are in a position where, like Keela was saying, we have the chance to change it because we have so much more information now, and it's at our fingertips. So we have a chance to, you know, uplift and speak positivity to our younger generation and to our children and our nieces and our nephews, so that when they're growing up, they're not going through the same hell and going through hell and high water like we had to go through to get to where we are. You know, I can remember when I was a little girl, and, you know, they didn't really have a lot of black dolls, but the ones that they did have, my dad made it a point to go get those black dolls. He was like, no, you're not gonna have a white doll. I need you to know that they have black dolls too, and that they are just as pretty, and you are pretty too. Right. So I love your skin. I want you to love how beautiful you are. I want you to be confident in who you are. And when you speak to somebody, you look them in their face. When you shake their hand, you give them a firm handshake, and you look them in their face so they know you mean business when you're talking to them. So they're not looking at you or slighting you or sending you to the side or whatever because, oh, you may not know what you're talking about. I am very educated. So don't let the big hair and the slang talk fool you. I will go at you with words or my fists.
Whichever's appropriate for the moment.
But you know, that's the funny thing that she said, let the big hair fool you. That's one of those, once again, stereotypes that we have got to destroy, because it is more and more apparent that the surface things have become more powerful than the inside things. Correct. And when we can say something like that, we know hair has nothing to do with somebody's brain. But what she just said reproved to me, like, that is what they keep saturating that dialogue, like, this is not good. Right.
Somebody actually responded to that. Zanita said, what's funny is that darker men and women with long hair and light eyes are still recognized and held to a higher status than short, coarse hair, dark eye, etc. dark people. It's almost like we do that sometimes, recognize the dark-skinned people with the stereotypical lighter aesthetics than we recognize those without them. Mr. Rice, my boy Rice, he says, I've experienced colorism my whole life. The paper bag test was real growing up. Hair, eyes, and TV, hair and eyes, and what TV portrayed, especially during the 90s. Malik says, what I do is spend time bridging the information gap. I never hesitate to talk about true history in company of youngsters of all races. I do hit these controversial topics such as true origins of all races and feelings. I feel that if we don't communicate, we will continue to miss the mark, which can curb bad ideologies and behaviors in the future. That's what's up, Malik. I love that. I love that. What's up, Tyrone Gregory?
I have a comment speaking from my boy, Mr. Small. I can never say his first name right. We call him Bubba. Antrion Small. But he says, speaking on where Cabana Black is coming from, as far as the younger generation only going to sports, college, or the military, for the most part, that's all the older generation taught us as a way out and to help us stay out of the streets. But nowadays, there are a lot of different outlets we have, such as YouTube sensations, rapping, or just being entrepreneurs in general. But at the same time, it's for us to help the youth put these guns down and man up and face life in actuality. Because life is too short to be angry and mad with each other or at each other. We as a people should have a sit down with each other and come to an understanding.
Well, guess what? This is the sit down with each other to come to an understanding. So that means that this conversation doesn't stop right here on this live. That means each of you have the individual responsibility to go back to your worlds and spread that information and spread this love. Somebody actually responded back to what Cabana said, and I actually like that this statement when you were saying that let's not just put it as if only dark-skinned people have negative stereotypes.
Right.
It's also light-skinned. And it says, to Cabana's point, you can see it in the way Black folks, and this is hitting my heart because I love this. You can see it in the way Black folks question the relevancy of light-skinned activists like Angela Rye, Amanda Seals, and Jesse Williams. Yeah. So I am so glad. Who is that? Prophet, Anthony Prophet. What's up, Prophet? So I am so glad he said that because, well, I got to go back to the round table because I didn't answer. I personally have never, if I did, I didn't know it. I have never experienced colorism. And I think it's because I am not light and I am not dark either. I'm kind of right in the center. So I don't think either side can really have beef with me. You really can, or either they can both choose that I'm peanut butter. So they can both choose to hate me or they can both choose to like me. But I call
you tease and tan.
Huh?
They would call you tease and tan.
Tease and tan. Okay, I have never heard that. So
I like peanut butter.
Right, I'm peanut butter. And so I don't think I've ever experienced it from either side, any type of animosity or whatsoever. I have seen it. I have definitely seen it though, but I have not experienced it personally. So when I was talking to my husband, he asked me what the show was about today. And I told him what the show was about today. And I was like, it's about colorism. My husband was like, what is that? He was like, what is this? So I was like, so I told him what colorism was. He was like, oh, light versus dark. I said, yeah, light versus dark. And he said, well, that's not just an American thing. That's everywhere. Everywhere. That's everywhere. And he was like, because, you've got people coming in that the standard of beauty for westernized world has spanned out way outside of our nations. So he was like, this is why you have people born and raised in Africa that are going and bleaching their skin to become lighter, and so on. So, and then we start talking about how Asian countries are doing the same. They are, they're already light, but they're going and like getting surgery on their eyes so that they can have bigger eyes, and they're getting their hair bleached and so on. So I don't feel that is, I know we're talking about the African American colorism right now, but it's several cultures.
It's all over.
Several cultures that experience this self-hate or that they feel they have to do. And now I will say this. Somebody did come for me one year though, and said that I was I guess, doing colorism. So as y'all know, we have this show, not this show, but we have another show, travel and talent show, Show Me What You Got. And so my job prior to getting on stage with all the contestants at the end of the month, end of the week, is sitting down and doing kind of like a live trials. I got to listen to everybody. I got to give them pointers, basically giving them insight so that they don't lose. All right. I mean, someone's got to lose. It's only one winner, but I'm going to give insight to everybody. So anyone who really knows me, any female that walks in the room, especially and here's the trick, it's because I'm not good with names. This is why I do this. Hey, beautiful. How you doing, girl? Hi, hey, everybody. Hey, beautiful. And then on the flip, I love my DJ, Banks the DJ, but I do always refer to him as, hey, light skin. That's how we met. That's actually how we met. I was on stage. He brought me the microphone. He was dressed to a T. I was like, hey, light skin. Not in any derogatory fashion. It was just, he is indeed light skin. You know what I mean? I didn't stand on the stage and say light skin forever. I didn't say that, So we're going through. I think I went through like 12 contestants this particular day. Light, dark, man, woman, short, tall, fat, thin, the whole gambit. All right. So this one particular female, I kept trying to tell her, this might not be the song you need to sing. It sounds like you are struggling with the high notes. Well, let me try this song again. She tried it again. And I was like, I still don't think this is the song. You can do what you want, but I really don't think this is the song that you need to sing. Because you sound, now this one she had won previously. So I know what she can do, what she's capable of. So she didn't listen to my input. It is what it is, because that's the nature of the show. She gets on stage and she was booed off.
Damn.
Okay. I mean, that's the show. She was booed off. So the next day, my phone is blowing up. And they like, yo, Diz, you need to check your page. Somebody tagged you in this post, blah, blah, blah. This woman went in on me and my brand. Oh, I will never support this show again. I will never support Dizzy. I was racist. The girl is black. Okay, I'm racist. Yeah, I sat and I watched her talk all nice and sweet to all the other contestants, show love to all the light-skinned contestants, and she didn't address me the same way. She set me up for failure, yada, yada, yada. She has color problems. She embraces light skin and is hateful towards dark skin.
Wow.
She was the returning champ, sis.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. And so I will tell you that bothered me so much.
Right.
And I was like, and no lie. So here I go, my researching ass. I called every dark-skinned friend I knew that I have, female. Do I call light-skinned women beautiful and not y'all? Do I do that? I remember I called Shell. I called Greg's wife. I wrote Gregory's wife. I was like, have I ever made you feel like I did not embrace? Because I started doubting myself, and I was like, and then I started getting mad. See, first you're like, oh, then I started getting angry, and I was like, hold up, and I'm gonna use the B word. Hold up, bitch. First of all, my hair is kinky up under every single one of these wigs that I rock. I've been natural for over 20 years, so I didn't have a problem with your hair. I hate dark-skinned people. Have you seen my husband that came out the depths of Africa for real? You are confused. I was so angry that someone even felt that I would do that. But on the flip, I do know that we as a people do joke about, hey, light skin, team light skin. I don't ever say that because I don't belong on anybody's team. I love everybody. I don't belong on either one.
That she remembers what you're talking about.
Yes, see, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, I've never experienced it. Good Lord, I got a lot of people talking. Okay,
I do too. I got some comments too.
but I'm just gonna say I have never done that, but I cannot tell you the hurt that I felt when someone felt that I was that way. So I don't think I would ever do that to somebody. Okay, Malik sends some love. Zanita says it's all that some people that it's all that they were taught that they could be. I think this is in response to militaries, college, and so on. It's all that they were taught that they could be, so that's all they knew to pass down to us. Keela and Cabana, you are right. We are the generation. We have to start the mind change. Malik gives Anthony Prophet some thumbs up because he loved that comment. My boy Florian is checking in from France. What's up, Florian? He said ain't nobody messing with Dizzy anyways. I guess that when I was saying nobody really came for me on both sides. Zanita says, this is so real. Light-skinned people do experience it. Unfortunately, it's a direct reaction to the initial hate towards darker skin. It's the defense and the rebuttal. It manifests as hate towards light-skinned people. Malik says, what's up to Big Mo? I will pass it on to him. Miss Kaylee. Okay, so Melissa Kaylee says, my niece is in middle school and she's mixed. She has experienced it and made a comment at my house about not wanting to get too much sun because she's getting darker. I told her to stop right there. Your skin is beautiful no matter how light or dark it is. Malik's, I don't know. Malik said, Dizzy, I knew it. I'm not sure what you knew, but I'm sure you're going to let me know. And then my boy Lex was like, he got a little emoji. Dizzy is a racist? Dizzy is a racist? Exactly. And then Malik said, oh girl should have checked your history and realized how much love you have done and how much you love and have done for everyone. That was nothing but trying to rationalize her failure.
I have one comment for Keela from Donald Adams. I love the coloring of your hair, Miss Mahogany. It looks good with your blackness. Shout out to Kim Tree Slaughter. Kim Tree Slaughter is a mental health professional.
Nice.
I'm honored that you're with us. Shout out to, I think that's from Germany. Am I saying Sadiq?
Sadat.
And then Bill Goodbar and Robin, DJ. This is where I would like to drive a little wedge in the combo. Okay. Sometimes what happens to me is like we talk different, we speak different, but the wedge that I have is this is my point. And I want anyone, not just black, white, because I think our white brothers and sisters, your opinion really is important because a lot of it comes out of your community. So I feel like a lot of the education that I want to give is to your community and have a conversation back and forth. What I'm trying to do in my community and other communities of another race is an understanding. But with your community, because I feel like that's a place where a lot of this comes from, I like to get that back and forth. My point is, this is why I feel like for me, colorism is worse than racism.
Okay.
Because it's the silent dragon and monster that builds and destroys things without taking responsibility. Racism is at a point where it's almost becoming very black and white to me. Well, people are showing whether they like it or don't. Colorism, it can sit in a room and fester. And I'll give an example. Say us, we're all friends. Dizzy gets a promotion. The other four want the same promotion. But me and Greg could be like, it's because she's a woman, and she's, the girls could be like, well, she do got longer hair, her eyes, you know what I'm saying? She's lighter than us. I want to address, do people really feel like it's worse? I feel like it's worse because the time that we take hating on something, I feel like that is the time that we can build something. The times that I have consciously made sure, and it's a conscious effort to not hate on my brother or my sister or anyone and just celebrate them, time moves on and things open up for me to do. The times that I take where I'm frustrated or jealous of my brother or sister, 24 hours can go like that and nothing gets accomplished. So I feel like that monster is worse because sometimes it just breeds, and you know what it does? Colorism reminds me of the telephone game, because the telephone game never works out. You start off whispering in somebody's ear and it changes and changes. And I feel like that's the problem to me with colorism too. It's like this game that gets worse because the answer gets wrong each and every single time. And the only person that can actually fix it is the one that started it. And most people don't want to do it.
I like that. It goes back to what you just said. You want to have that back and forth with that community.
Well, yeah. I will say that the response from Melissa.
Hey, Melissa.
From Melissa, when she was saying her niece being mixed, Melissa is white.
Thank you.
So I mean, I feel that, and I'm not saying that she speaks for everybody in the white race.
Right.
But I am saying that because Melissa's like, hey, you beautiful no matter what. Don't let nobody tell you any different. I don't think that Melissa realizes how important that statement was to her niece coming from her.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That was a real, I mean, true, she would have received the statement from me, her mother, her father. I don't know what the dynamics is.
Right.
But she would have definitely received it from someone that came from herself, from her own mother and father. But having it come from someone who doesn't look like you and say, girl, what is wrong with you? Don't worry about that, blah, 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 blah. I think that was a big step that Melissa took to be able to tell her that and open that dialogue with her. Everyone should be doing it, don't get me wrong. But I think that when other races take, again, I've talked about this before when we've talked about police brutality and racism and everything. You can't forget that we have allies. We have allies that guess what? Don't have all those other little things that they're being focused on that's distracting from the goal. You know what I'm saying? We have all of these other little things that are distracting us from the goal. And they're like, you got to bring your ally in. I think that my friends that I have in my circle, they're having those conversations. I think they are.
And the aha to me, and Keela, I definitely want her to chime on this part. When you said that, the aha to me is this. What's up, Javon Robinson? Is that we actually look for the opposing color to appreciate us. But the power is the color that we are to appreciate us. And I think that's where the weaponizing of colorism is the problem. It's like, I've already been trained in my mind that if my white brothers and sisters, my Italian brothers and sisters, anything that's not Black gives me a compliment, it's like, okay, good, thumbs up, great. All right, Right. But I am affected, I am hurt, I am bothered, I get depressed, and this is past learning now.
Right.
When my own brothers and sisters be like, nah, we ain't giving you that. Nope. And you're like, whoa, that's what I want though. That's the person that I went, because I feel like that is where in any culture, maybe colorism is deadly. Because I think, yes, if you're in a mixed home, of course, then you have two cultures that you are getting approval from. But say, let's, put it in categories of just Black, Asian, Italian, wherever you are. I think if you're in a home where what you are will not celebrate you, but what you're not will celebrate you, then you're tending to go over with what you're not. And that makes this separation. And I feel like that's the biggest thing I'm trying to get people to understand. It's not about segregation. It's not about me saying like, oh, I want people separated. It's more about like, I'm realizing as a preschool teacher, when I taught kids, I taught kids that everybody's beautiful, period. When they came in there, we would say hello to each other. I said, what you supposed to do? Hello, how are you? It's good to meet you. Ha, put a smile on your face today. When they start cheesing at each other, you know what I'm saying? Because you have to create the dialogue of conversation. And I think I want people to respond and let us know, like, when you look at yourself in the mirror, which means another brother or sister of your culture, do you feel like you're being supported? Or
Okay, can I ask you a question before I let Keela respond? Because I want to make sure I'm understanding what you just said. Okay.
Yes.
Are we talking about overall in life support, or are we talking business support, or are we talking about like self-esteem, that type of support? Because to me, that's different support. Because on the money side, on the business side, I don't give a damn if not a black person supports me. I would love to have the support. I would like anyone's support in business, but if they chose not to support me because I was black or because they not down with what I'm giving, I don't care. Everybody's dollar is green. So I'm not going to tap dance just to get the black dollar, because if I'm, as an artist, I'm creating art such as yourself, and me and Cabana had this business conversation about who supports. Cabana has a specific type, well, not even specific. You have this realm of art that you create that is either going to be accepted or rejected by whatever human sees and or hears it. However, it bothered you, and check me if I'm wrong, it was bothering you when you started to see that you received more support and more backing for this creative mass from races that were not your own.
Yes.
And what did I tell you then? So what? This is your art. This is what you are creating. You do what you do for Cabana. You don't have to be like, oh, well, let me see what the black people think about what I'm doing. No. Do you think white people do that to us? No.
No, but this is the thing. I graduated.
You create. You do you. You create and let the chips fall where they may. I mean, that's just my opinion. I've never tailored, and that I can think of, I've never tailored my business to appeal to a particular market. This is my business. You're going to consume or you're not.
Right, but that's in a different world. Like, I'm not talking about business, and I'm not talking about this. And just like you say,
that's why I said I wanted to make sure that, okay, so we're talking about if someone gave you a compliment, because that's the statement that I'm using. You said if somebody outside of race, white, Asian, Native American, whatever, gave you a compliment on something, you're like, yeah, good, cool, that's cool. But if someone from your same race said, nah, I ain't messing with it, it bothers you. Why?
Okay, this is the thing. And let me go back to what I'm saying as far as like the focus. Like you said, we get off the focus, and those are the little things like business and money. Those are individual things that don't have, to me, quote, a color. But what I'm saying is from how we're set up, and I'm gonna speak about our color as far as black people. We're set up in a way that our color defines everything that we do. And that is the problem. What you're talking about is a person that is well-rounded and balanced and can separate money and all these other things. What I see is we're not balanced. And so therefore we lump it all together, i.e., my fan base is a lot of white people. Right. A lot of Asians and Latina, and I'm so excited about it. But I am a black man. I love my black people. Right. So I want my black people to support, but they have every right to choose anything they want. I'm not on that point. But the bigger picture is some people that don't even like my music will support my music that are not us. And that is where sometimes we will have these conversations where I can make an excuse for anything kind of thing, where I'm just saying in general, colorism from what I see in my community is dangerous is because then we say, well, I have a, a right to pick for my money and my business and stuff like that. But then when you look, come on here, Cabana, and preach this real good. When you look at the Asians and the beauty salons and the restaurants and all that stuff, who do they keep in-house as employees and workers? Themselves. When you look at businesses and corporations that we go to and support, who do they look and support themselves in supervising positions? But when you come to certain communities of ours, we are supporting and not supporting our own. And I feel like that is my biggest thing. It's not about me forcing and saying like, Cabana, I'm a bridge. I love people.
Exactly.
I'm a big old bridge. But this bridge, to me, I've experienced the most colorism that I thought I would never do. I mean, for instance, my album is a soul album. And most of my clientele that are buying it, and thank you. But I love who I am and I love who others are. And I think that colorism is important because sometimes I don't think we see the detriment of how mentally it's played with us.
Like, so somebody responded to you.
Good.
There you go. We got a response. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say. I'm sorry.
No, good. I'm glad. I'm back.
Cabana is speaking some huge facts. Colorism can sit in the room and there be silent hate between the same race. Speaking Black folks, it's sad because most of my haters, he's Black. Most of my haters are Black, not white. Racism is the strongest plan put against Black people and any other race in the USA. When we as colored people come together, regardless of light and dark, then we can really make true change. Too much text because it was a plan devised over hundreds of years ago. And he said, by the way, again, he said, I love this show. Go ahead, Keela. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Keela.
But colorism has been going on since like the 17th century. So to think that it can be solved and unraveled in such a short amount of time, let's say 100 years, it's just not possible. We're still doing the work, but it is getting better because we are having these conversations. We usually have the conversation on racism and we don't get into the nitty gritty of colorism, but I'm glad that's what we do. And we're having this conversation right now.
Right.
Because colorism is worse, Cabana. It is much, much worse. So I wanted to go back to what Candace was saying about, slaves inside the house, slaves outside the house. It was still slavery, in my opinion. In my opinion, I don't think that there was like a jealousy between the two at the beginning because they all still lived in the same place. They were all still enslaved. They were all still raped, but both. Didn't matter if you lived in the house, didn't matter if you worked side by side with the mother, didn't matter if you breastfed their children, you were still raped, brutalized, killed, all of that. And so what comes out of that is, as you go into the future, Black people are now trying to protect their children against the sun. I don't want you to get too dark because this is how society is going to receive you. You are light skinned, so maybe I need you to try to pass so that society can receive you in a more positive way. And so it was out of survival. It was, in my opinion, it didn't begin out of jealousy. It didn't begin out of envy or any of that. It began out of survival.
Right.
Because I know my Black boy is going to be killed if he's walking on the railroad tracks, because that's the new law now. Even though slavery is gone, now it's a law that Black people can't be on railroad tracks. They will try to keep their Black children close to them. Yes, go ahead.
I'll wait, but please educate.
So, and then when it came to lighter skinned children, even though maybe they were received better, they still had their own struggles that they were going through. You know what I mean? Whether it was, one was that, light skinned women are more promiscuous or they're easy or, things like that. So they definitely have their own struggles that they're not Black enough. And so as you get into the future, let's say now, we are better educated. We have, the people before us, our parents, our grandparents, they have started to break those chains chains mentally of colorism, and it's for us to continue to pass that baton. And I think it really happened when the people stopped getting relaxers. I'm gonna say that. That's when I saw that the positivity that was being spoken into young people by the media, by different companies that really put out information, they started to feature more of a diverse, more diverse imagery. Entrepreneurship allowed for more diverse products, let's say in toys or books or anything like that. So it took the people to change and say, no, you know what? I know that I can write this little book. You know what I mean? It may not be New York's bestseller, but I'm still putting it out there because there is a Black child, a dark skin, a light skin, it's somebody that needs to hear this. And
Right.
we are doing that more and more every day. And so I think colorism will end up breaking down. They will fail. Black people will come together because we are educating ourselves, we're educating our friends, and we are realizing that the spectrum of what is Black is vast and it is beautiful, and we should all support it in every single way that we can, you know what I'm saying? And so I think when that happens, we'll definitely have a more positive future. But it was done on purpose. Let's never forget that it was done on purpose. So I think we should just remember to not understand that and say, I'm no longer letting those things control me today. I don't have to break those chains and put more positivity out there.
Well said.
Okay, I got when we were talking about artists and who is supporting, Rice says Lil Wayne is a perfect artist actually to speak of. His audience initially, it has switched from majority Black to really majority white because he's kind of gone that skater route. Some people still rock with him, but that's not really a lot of his fan base now is way more white than when he was with Cash Money for the 99-2000. Go ahead, Keita. See, here she go.
I got a question though.
The train.
I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
first question. No. First question. So your album is a soul album, right?
Yes.
And you said like your fans are like
predominantly when I go on to when I put my project on different platforms, it allows me to see my demographic, women, men, age, and then I pay for something so I can see what's up there. Right. And I have an even actually fan base of men and women, but the ages start at actually 11 and 10 years old all the way up. It goes up to like 65 years. But as far as cultural bases, I am like more of the gumbo rainbow of white, Asian, Latina, what's the French? It's because they show countries, but in the African American community, it is much lower, and it's kind of interesting.
I was just getting to the point that you had the Asians in there. That's good. You got a soul album, and Korea has soul.
But the thing about it is, I'm really excited about my whole album and my project. But the thing is, I did videos. My first single was Color Fade. My first single was I Won't Let My Color Fade. My first video was in a barbershop showing haircuts and barbershops. My second, I get it, but what I'm saying is, my second video was called Blackness.
Yeah, right.
My third video was That's Okay.
Everybody but the Black, like more majority, should I say?
Yes, it's me just saying, like, even though you may not rock with my sound, or you may not rock with the way I look, or whatever the case may be, there is a camaraderie in the other cultures
the people when it comes
that
to
I see
that
is not amongst more of what I want to see. And let me say this. And I Candace can chime.
Religion, or we don't even have a country. They stole us. You know what I'm saying? They have to go back to.
Oh no, but this is the thing. But this is the thing. Even though that's the case, we are here, and like my mama say, hey, you gotta handle where you at. You gotta be what you need to be where you at. It could be one thing, but it is this. And even when, because when I look like Candace, today you look, I mean, you're always beautiful, but you look extraordinarily beautiful.
Candace.
I love everything. You are gorgeous, honey. You are slaying the lion, honey. Pop, pop, and snap. But that is why my album was created, because I love Roberta Flack and Cicely Tyson and Iman and Naomi Campbell, honey. Like, I love, and I want to say this to the audience. I just got an aha moment. Do not stop our light-skinned brothers and sisters, the Jesse Williams and the Tracy Ellis Ross and the Beyoncés, because this is the thing. Because of colorism and racism, their parents taught them who they were, and because they have an opportunity and an open door, that's probably why we see them speak the way they speak, and they're allowed that platform because of the racism, and we let people, you know, on the other side let them in, and we have to look at that as a gateway of opportunity for our Viola Davis, you know, for our Regina King.
Right.
For them to come in, because I started to think about, you know, why do we do that to our light-skinned brothers and sisters? And now, like, maybe I can say this and give them a better understanding, because there are great parents out there. When I think about Tracy Ellis Ross, she's always been that way.
Right.
She's always been a natural sister and pushing and going forward. And I always say to myself, why does it seem like, you know, our lighter brothers and sisters are more, it seems, active on the media end, but that's because they're let in.
Right.
So therefore, we have to celebrate that let in so we can go ahead and let all of ourselves in.
We have some crazy people. Go ahead, Keela.
I'm sorry, Keela. I'm sorry.
Parents also have to give us the audacity to believe in ourselves in that way. And a white person can give that to their children. My husband is biracial, and his mother gave him the audacity to believe that he was a full human being.
Right.
I mean, and so if she would have had the thinking like a Black mother would, let me try to protect my child according to what their skin color is. You know what I mean? So it's that
you gotta shape it.
It's the shaping of people that it's all for survival. But like you said, we are here today, and that's why we're having this conversation, so we can change these mentalities.
Right. So I got somebody in here. So I need him to elaborate a little bit more, because I'm not quite sure what point he's trying to get across. So Irvin.
Hey, Irvin.
Irvin wrote, you know what? I guess we were talking about the business part, and he put 100%. He says, I spend purple money. Don't know where that came from. I think that all people should be, he says, I do think that all Black people should be supporting the Black Lives Movement, though. I agreed. I feel you. Then he said that, I guess when I went into the art part and keep doing the art for what you do it for, he said, art doesn't see color, though. Black people need to get out of entertainment. Let's get into the automotive industry or something else. Don't know what that means. And then he says, Beyonce is not light skinned. That is lighting and makeup. And Irvin Lee. And then at the end, he's this guy named Irvin. So Irvin, I need you. So look, I'm gonna try my best to make Irvin sound.
Hold on. Can I please match Crazy with Crazy for a second?
Sure, go ahead, get him.
Negro say that is lighting and makeup. Negro, Irvin, hey, bro, hey, listen, hold on. We all matter. But listen, we need entertainment, and I do want to be entertained by someone that looks like me and thinks and have jokes that I know and understand. Yes. Number two, Negro ain't enough makeup to make me look like Beyonce's goddamn complexion. It ain't none. I don't care. Look at this. Watch this. You see this light? I'm still dark skinned.
Like right here.
I'm still dark skinned. You see that? I love you, Irvin. I love you, E. I do. But Negro, no. And I have not seen a purple dollar yet, but if you got some I can borrow, let me hold one.
I think that's yen. I don't know. I could.
Yen. She said it's yen. I don't know. One of our Euro bills might be purple.
Euros.
Thank you, Tyrone. Get him. What we say? Get him. Get him.
I love you, E. I love you, E.
I got a couple people watching. Josh, Faye. Faye's over in Germany. Hey, boo. Hey, Punchy, Keith, my aunt. Hey, Auntie, you met Diane? And Prophet and TJ. So
okay, Irvin did say the purple bill is the 500 euro.
Got it.
It is
Got you.
purple. Okay.
All right,
I
bet,
got you.
bet.
Oh, but hold on. I'm gonna get you next. I'm gonna get you next, Candace. Albert Brunson is saying train track. He's
Yeah,
lost.
we still want to know about the train track.
You got it.
I'll come back.
Okay, gotcha. All right, go ahead, Candace.
Okay, so a couple things. One, I think that Black people are getting to a point where their entertainment that they're looking for is broadening. So we're just sticking to just soul music, and we're not just sticking to just R&B or just hip hop. You know, we're branching out now. And so you got Black people in country, and we're listening to pop music, and you know, you got gospel, and you know, there's the alternative, and there's so many other, you know, genres that we are becoming more fluent with, because not just saying that Wayne was the first one, because he's not, but
Yeah.
he's
Right.
right, and he's paving a way that a lot of us who don't know about it are starting to see more than just what the media has put in our face, or just what our parents listened to. Because I grew up on the Earth, Wind, and Fire, and the Temptations, and you know, the OJs, and you know, listening to Anita Baker and Sade, you know, and listening to all those types of music. So you know, those are the things that I listen to. So of course, you know, Saturday morning when you're cleaning, you got your music on, and everybody like, "Gotta get up, time to clean," or you know, whatever day of the week you outside doing. So that's just on that part. But as far as your comment on colorism and racism, I honestly think that colorism is an issue within our community.
Yeah.
However, it's not just our community here in America. This is something that's happening worldwide. This is happening in other countries. I've heard stories of you know, people in Dominican Republic where, you know, they shun those who have who are darker complected, or you know, they treat people more favorably if they're lighter complected. I remember reading a story about there was a young lady. Oh shoot, what was her name? Justino, I think. She was in Brazil. She won Miss Brazil, and she lost her seat. She was voted as Miss Brazil, but she was so dark to them, they couldn't have a woman that dark representing their country. So she lost, and a lighter complected woman was selected.
Wow.
And how do they feel now while they're sitting back looking at Miss Universe, Miss America, and it's like, dang,
all this sprinkling, all this black,
all this magic.
Come on with it. Black girl magic. Come on with it.
You better throw back the Bolero girl.
Like it or not. So I do think that colorism is an issue. However, I don't think that's our biggest issue. And I think that we can fix colorism more quickly than we can fix racism.
And that would be great.
I
That would be beautiful.
think
That would be awesome.
Bigger and
Colorism is the
broader.
child of racism. It's like, you know, racism was started. Then they were like, okay, how can we control them even more? Let's go ahead and do colorism. Let's make them hate each other even more by making them hate the intricacies about each other.
Let's create.
That's why it's worse. That's why it's worse than racism.
It was a way to justify slavery. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why I say it started in the 17th century. They needed a way to justify them enslaving Black people. And so now you're better because you are white and you are not when you are Black.
It goes back to just like y'all was saying, the house nigga and the field nigga, right? You gotta remember when they all got there, when our ancestors got there, they were all dark skinned until they started raping the women. So they were all dark skinned. They were just the lucky ones in the house and the ones in the field, but they were all getting beaten and raped.
Wasn't no lucky.
Wasn't no lucky ones. I poor choice of word, but you know what I'm saying.
So
I don't think.
I had a question.
I was about to say the same thing. She gonna say.
But I will tell you something that I found, because my husband and I talked about it, and we were both kind of stumped, like, So we got it. We all came over dark, and that we became lighter as we were raped by a white man, and while the slave master's wife was laying with the field slaves as well. Everybody.
You think we all came over dark? You think we all came over dark?
The ones that they got, yes, because they cost more. We'll talk about that. They cost more when you sell them. Bigger, darker, stronger, you make more money.
Right, but there were other slaves that were not dark that were used for what Keela said. Some of them were actually used to be raped.
There was hold on though, but here's
I was like, that's not just dark.
But here's also where I'm going though.
Okay, go ahead.
So you remember how we keep saying that, or I've heard people say the light-skinned ones were in the house, got it. We'll say treated better is still slavery. I get it.
Right.
But when I am wondering, then what was the treatment of the children who came out of that union? Because then you have proof of rape or race mixing. So would you actually be treated better than the field or better than the house? Because now you have proof of this. Go ahead.
So I've seen a couple different documentaries that have, addressed that. Mm-hmm. And there are some that it's all based off of however that slave master decided how he was going to treat them. And it was different in every plantation. You got some who, if the children were of a very light complexion, that they were treated well. And those children sometimes, like let's say his wife couldn't bear children, so he would lay with a lighter skinned slave. And if those children came out to be really, really light, those children became his children and they kept them as their own. So those children were in the house and being treated as if they were white, even though they had black mothers. And so now you have these children who have black mothers, but think that they are completely white. And they're talking mad trash to their actual mother who is seeing their child, but mothers
so I've got somebody that actually did answer. They said those were the house slaves, the children of the slave master. You had to buy the light slaves because you were producing them yourself.
But like I was saying, some of them were treated as their own children, and then some of them were treated as. It depends on what the color of the child came out as. So if they were very fair complected, or if they were a little darker. If you were darker, he wasn't gonna bring you in the house.
Okay, I got Irvin.
Treated as their own.
Okay, Irvin. I didn't say that. Let me respond. Irvin says there's light-skinned Africans. Come on now, Irvin. I did not say that there were no light-skinned Africans. That's not what we said.
That's what Tyrone Gregory said.
That's what Tyrone Gregory said. Hey, hold on, brother.
Irvin, we are aware. He says Egypt is in Africa. I'm aware Egypt is in Africa. I'm aware that there are light and white Africans in South Africa. Yes, I'm aware of that.
I'm talking about.
We were talking about slaves. We were talking about slaves.
Yeah, they were treating darker.
There were light slaves too.
There are European people in South Africa.
Right.
We all know this part. But when they were doing
But no, let's not say that, because just like you didn't know about the definition of colorism, this is what I love about this conversation. A lot of people do not know their history. And so therefore this conversation is letting them know, because even that small section of us having this conversation, it could cause a little bit of confusion, because a lot of people do not know that. A lot of people do not even know how truly slavery started.
You have people who think that Africa is a country.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? I know that sounds crazy, but my husband said, now my husband works along with individuals that are extremely smart. Computer scientists, physics, all of these, whoa, smart. Making 6 figures and up a year, smart. I'm saying? And he's had conversations with them where he will say, name a country in Africa, and they're like, Africa. No, Africa is not a country. It is a continent made up of several countries. So yes, it's a lot of folks that, like Cabana said, they don't have, and they don't know their history. Urban came back with the
in the world.
Say what?
I said there's a lot of people that can't name all the continents of the world. So
true. Irvin came back with the entertainment piece that we were talking about. He said he said, treat entertainment as a hobby. Let's say there's no more rappers, no more music. He said, can we get the Black Bill O'Reillys? Can we get the Black Brad Pitts? Can we get the Black Bill Gates? Can we be, let's be known for computers like Asians are. Not sure where they're from.
You saying
we don't need any more athletes with no degrees, millions of dollars, and can't put a company together to hire Black workers.
So you don't know who Madam C.J. Walker is?
But you know, this is the thing. Let's catch it and let's not, because I get where he's coming, and I've learned this mistake when you're saying, because I see Keela and I see Greg. This is the thing he's saying, that there is not enough Madam C. Walkers. There's not enough
I agree.
Obamas. There's not enough people in, because and first of all, I'm an entertainer. I'm a full-time entertainer, Eric. And I'm a motivational speaker as well. And somebody's come to me as far as, you know, why I do it, but I use my platform to educate, and I go to colleges and different schools. But that rarity, when I go to these different colleges and schools as motivational speaker, there's not too many of me that look like me and that are artistically inclined at the same time. And there is, even now, because I always say, I'm so bothered with hearing the first this, the first that. I'm so ready for that first thing to go away. So that means that we're just more like with the, for example, the Miss America pageant, for so many years, it was the first. Now, finally, we had all three sisters in Universe America. I think it was all of them. It was all Black.
I think Teen also.
It was Miss Teen.
So therefore, it's like, you know, and I say this, you know, not even snubbing Mexican.
Irwin said that's exactly what he's trying to say.
Yeah, it's like, but the thing about it is, we also, entertainment is so crucial because, well, let me not get there, but it's so crucial because that was our way. That is the way, because as far as Black is concerned, it is one of the most powerful, entertaining, and creative sources in the world.
Right.
It is undeniable. And because it's undeniable, it gets manufactured in so many ways. Mm-hmm. And so we cannot allow that to be removed, because that is the one thing that tries to get mimicked, and it can't be, because no one can do it. And I'm gonna say
what got us through the darkness. That's what got us through the darkness back then, and what gets us through the darkness now.
And then Keela, I'm gonna get you, Greg. Keela,
man, this is Irv B. I just realized who Irvin was. What's up, homie? Go ahead.
Keela said an answer for me, and I thought it was really dope. I was like, yo, I finally got an answer out of this conversation. Like, because you never know what you're gonna get.
Right.
She said, we're in a time. We're in the pandemic. The pandemic has flattened what I call the land. But what it didn't flatten is social media. And it doesn't matter if you're getting famous in what you're doing, if you're an author, a writer, an actor, a doctor, a lawyer, doing your part and giving education through your part and creating content. And then, like Greg said, YouTube influencers, that is what's changing colorism, is that we have such content influencers. They're not worried about getting famous anymore. They're actually pursuing the idea of what they are and showing people, like, I want to be a skydiver. Like, even with Will Smith. Will Smith is very famous, but what he's doing is like he's doing something anyone else can do. He's just showing people the world. He's infatuated with National Geographic. He's infatuated with the land. But to see our brother do that, it has opened. And then technology-wise, if you really go on Will Smith page, he is showing you so many different new ways to do technical things. So I think that thing with Akila, it hit me like, you know what? I do my motivational speaking online now. I do my books. I do my music. So it doesn't really matter in a sense of I got to keep a narrative going. And if everybody would keep a narrative going that shows a bigger picture, I think we could absolutely get rid of the colorism thing. Like, because racism,
it's going to take some time for racism.
Take some time.
So I will say this. So we are our 1.5 hour mark. We are 1.5 hours. I know it's okay. It's okay. But I'm still gonna let us do our round table because sometimes our round tables closing out take a little long.
Okay, let me think.
So we're coming back to the table with I want to say last thoughts on colorism and what is something that you could do yourself or we could do as a people to fix it, to reverse it, or either not contribute to it. So, couple seconds to get your thoughts together because I know it's like, Hold on, let me stop. Facebook might be like, this is not your content.
Right.
and then mute the whole video.
No, but I think to answer your question, I would say things that we could do. I would say that would be to continue to speak to the younger generation and be sure that people within our generation and older are part of the conversation as well. You're never too old to learn something new. And I think a lot of not a lot, I think some of the things that the older generation of what they were taught is why we are the way that we are now. And as we got older, we saw the division that causes amongst ourselves. And so that's why we're telling our children and our nieces and our nephews something different. So that's why I think that they need to be included in the conversation as well. I also think that we need to continue to do our own history and do our own research on our history. I've always said if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. Although history is nothing but a reoccurring issue of whatever has happened previously is going to happen again. It's just a matter of, did you learn from it the first time? And are you going to do something different to change it or to make it better going forward? I think that speaking to the next generation and speaking life into them, speaking positivity into them, and those affirmations to let them know, like, you, no matter what your skin color is, white, black, brown, purple, light, dark, and everything in between, you are beautiful. I think that, telling our children, let's work smart, not hard. Let's use your brain. Like, all right, let's use some deductive reasoning skills. All right, how are we going to figure this out? Right. Let's everybody come up with a plan, and we can sit down to our own little table. And if not just within your own family, but those that are a part of your family through blood or not, because a lot of the people that I'm connected to are through the military, and we're not blood, but I consider them brothers and sisters. So I speak to their children and they speak to mine with the same love and affection, because if something happens to them, I'm gonna be right there on the street with them, be like, all right, we gotta go find so-and-so because this some BS. Right. So I'm speaking life into them as well. Like, yes, baby girl, you are beautiful. I'm loving that hair. I see you, red shirt. Go ahead, boo. Like, speak that life into them. So, because something just that small, even when you're walking down the street, and you cannot know this person from a can of paint or Adam and Eve, but, just something small, like, girl, your hair, you are rocking that hair today. And you can just see the light in their face just come back up. And, you don't know what's going on with them mentally, but just that small little spark will just make them be like, okay, I did do something good today. So I'm feeling good about myself. I can now speak life into somebody else. Someone just spoke life into me. And it's something that small, but I think that that's what we need to do with not only the younger generation, but with our generation and the one that came before us. So those that are still around that can speak and that can talk and that can engage in this conversation, we all need to come together and have this convo and, chop it up.
Agreed. So we have one of our listeners that says, she says, this is Melissa. She says, we all need to lead our interactions with love and understanding.
Yeah.
Listen to what others are. Listen to what others have to say without judgment and see beauty in each other. I am so glad that I was finally able to catch y'all live.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, who's next?
I got you.
Okay.
So, and no one knows exactly how to fix it, but I'll say, my 2 cents. I would say that at the end of the day, if we educate ourselves and start to do self-reflections and really understand the words that we are using, the words we use are very, very powerful. My sister Candace said earlier about the peanut gallery. Things just as simple as that. The words we use, we have to understand what they mean. The phrases we use, the context in which we use words. That is colorism a lot of the times, and a lot of the phrases we use because they were just passed down by generation from generation from generation. And colorism for us is a lot to do with our generation.
Mm-hmm.
We have to break these curses. I'm gonna call them curses.
Right.
We have to break these curses, but we have to educate ourselves.
We got a lot of loves and hearts on this while you talking, bro. That's all I'm gonna say. Go ahead, keep going.
We can't educate our babies to educate their babies so they can educate their babies until we educate ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And on top of that, not only we have to, but we have to teach our children to listen back to our elders.
Mm-hmm.
Because what they're teaching us is just all they know. And they tried their best with what they had. But we are the decoders of that.
That's it.
We have to decode what they're saying so we can filter it for our children, so they can filter it down, so that way we can change the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm the comedian, I say a lot of funny shit, but I really mean this. This is honesty from the heart. I tell y'all all the time, love, and push positivity. But you can't love until you understand what your love is and what it means.
Mm-hmm.
That's my 2 cents, and I love y'all, man.
All right, hey. Mr. Cabana.
And when he was talking, the Spirit told me everything that's lawful is not expedient to say. Be intentional. Be intentional. Wisdom is an amazing thing that we have, but you have to be willing to learn and you have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to make the mistakes in order to be great. Be intentional. That means before you say anything, learn what you want to say first. A lot of times we run our mouths, and those are the biggest weapons of destruction. Because when words come out of our mouth, they do what they're going to do. And when I'm learning with colorism, it is a power of words that destroys the minds of people. So we have to learn to be educated. We have to be intentional. And then when we open our mouth to speak, we have to speak life. We have to speak love. We have to speak abundance. We have to speak blessings. We have to speak joy. Be intentional. Because when you're intentional, you'll know if you're a weapon or you're a word. I choose to be a word instead of a weapon.
Get it?
Weapon.
I know you already. Boom.
Why I gotta go behind you when you trying to push all of that, all of this positivity and
you got it. No, you got it. That's why we love you. Because
Okay.
that makes us balanced.
Look, we all can't say
our balance can't, Keelan, you're the balance.
Right. We can't all have the same. We can't.
Come on.
It would be a boring show if we all said the same thing and agreed
Right.
on everything.
Sheila, I told you, sometimes you Claire Huxtable, and sometimes you gotta be Cardi B. That's right.
Because Candace is Shotgun Mary.
Pew, pew. Okay, so I just have 2 things to say. One, I wanted to wrap up what our listener was saying about education and not being athletes and musicians and things like that. we need all of that. We need people to express their art and their talents, because a lot of it isn't just within us. You know what I'm saying? That we have to push out there, no matter what industry that is. But we cannot forget, and I always say this, we can't forget that we didn't get here by accident. You know what I mean? We don't have it's not like we have doctors because people don't want to be doctors. No, you have to see it in order to achieve it. You have to be allowed to be in those schools, and we are just in that moment of history where there hasn't been that many participants yet, but we are getting there because now we can see it. Social media shows us that, TV shows show us that, and representation really matters. And I just needed to go back to that. And being educated, being able to be a doctor is definitely a privilege, because there are bills that are due on day one after you get out of college.
Come
And
on.
not a lot of people have that privilege to say, I can afford to spend 10 years in school and not make any money during that time. Some people can't do that. Okay. And so I want to make that clear. And lastly, let's just stop judging people by the color of their skin. That shit is dumb. Like, everybody is just their own person, and just because somebody is light skinned, just because somebody is dark skinned, does not even mean that they don't have anything in common. They might be the same damn person in two different, skin tones. That shit is just dumb. And so I do think that we will get rid of colorism at some point, because it's going to take people like us to continue to speak, positively about all shades in this world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on, Dizzy.
Look,
I just want to say, we got some people that are making comments on our closing comments. So one person had a whole bunch of hearts and everything, just kind of saying, just putting words. Every time y'all say something, they be like, self-reflection, intentional. Then you have to, when Cabana started speaking, man, my boy was like, who is this dude? Who is this dude? And then on a whole other feed, another one said about, who is this dude? That, whatever you just said, basically, Cabana, belonged on the backtrack of someone's motivational video. So they are listening. They are listening. So before I say my piece, I will say once again, thank you for everyone who has chimed in on this entire show today. If you liked what you saw, please feel free to share our video on your page, because the more people that see it, the more people it will spark conversations with, whether it be in the comments, whether somebody picks up the phone and gives you a call, and so on and so forth. I want to say that the reason I gave this head nod to this conversation was because, I understand that everybody on this planet has their own preferences to what they like, whether it be tall, short, light, dark, black, white, thick, thin, types of music, so on and so forth. And what I have realized over kind of the past two to 3 weeks, which is something we say all the time, but we don't really get it sometimes, is that you can't make everybody happy. Right. It's always going to be someone out there that's going to drag you no matter what it is that you do. And so, we were having a conversation as a whole about Beyonce's video, Black is King. And all 5 of us had all 5 very different viewpoints on what we saw and how we saw and so on. And what I appreciate about the team that I'm a part of is that you don't have to like it, but when we discuss it, we're respectful of it.
Yes, sir.
But online and social media and all of this stuff, it wasn't even 24 hours after the release. I watched our people go on and drag Beyonce. Oh, demonic. Oh, she's cultural appropriation. Oh, she's pulling from African culture. Oh, I mean, it was bananas.
Yeah.
And I'm just kind of like, yo, you cannot like something and not drag it.
Right.
That's our people. You don't have to drag anybody anyway. But your post could be something as simple as, "What my cup of tea? It's all good though." Boom.
Bam.
That's it. But I mean, they really dragged her and drug her. Drug. I had to spell check myself. There was squiggly words in that sentence.
Yeah.
They really drug they really drug her. And so I was like, I don't understand why we as a people feel like we have to do that to one another. And you have two ends of the spectrum. Like, I thought it was a nice piece of work. I thought it was long, but I thought it was beautiful and a nice piece of work. But then Cabana and I kind of got in this conversation, and I was like, I wonder if Beyonce looked like Lupita Nyong'o.
Come on, Lupita.
Would as many people had an issue with the content of the video? Is it that you don't like Beyonce? Is it just you didn't like the art? Is it because she shouldn't be able to do it because she's liked? I didn't understand that. But then
A little bit of all of that.
A little bit of all of it.
Just a
But
little bit.
then on the flip, what got me was Friday night, we had a beautiful light-skinned sister and a beautiful dark-skinned sister put out a video that was quite graphic. However, it was dope. I mean,
Dope.
Hold on. The video, the visuals, all right, do you. But again, where's my black queens? Y'all teaching my daughters how to be a fight. This, that, the third. Blah. Pause. Somebody 2 weeks ago just tried to tell you that black was king and that black women were queens and that black men were queens,
and y'all
dragged them. But then when we have the thought anthem of the summer, the song that some grown women are gonna play while they getting ready for their husband,
boom, boom, boom,
you gonna drag these women as well. So we can't be queens and we can't be thoughts. I don't know what you want from us as a people.
Women.
I don't understand. Greg, don't. You had your time. Don't reclaim no time. You had your time. So, for me is, I don't like racism. I don't like colorism. I don't like sexism. I don't like ageism. I don't like sizeism. I don't like any of that at all. And I don't like any of it. Just let people live. Let people be. If you don't like it, all you gotta do is hit stop.
Yes.
That's all you gotta do. I challenge y'all, and y'all can inbox me, throw it on my page. I challenge you to find any other race, and you can give me a post, screenshot, make sure it's credible and not satire. If you don't know what that is, Google that too. I challenge you to show me where a white person is like, screw Green Day, they suck. You know what I'm saying? Who does that? Screw Green Day, Guns N' Roses sucks. We don't like Kiss, White Snake, Def Leppard, rah. Who does that? They don't do that. You know what they do? They change the station. They just don't listen to that song. But I don't understand why we feel we gotta beat each other up like that. So in closing, Marcus Garvey, the black skin is not a badge of shame, but rather a glorious symbol of national greatness. Notice there was no light skin or dark skin in that sentence.
All of us.
We love you.
All of
What
us.
you got to say is out.
I love it. That's great. That was wonderful. Love, 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 love.
Great show. Great.
Hold on, let me turn it off live before y'all start acting crazy.
Still on.